Welcome to All Things Social Security. Enjoy your video. Hey guys, TGIF. Welcome to Friday Fraud Law Review, and a big shout out to our veterans who are deployed and not able to be home, like most of us. That's what my Fraud Law Review Fridays are dedicated to. So I hope you all are well and enjoying a little peace despite your business abroad. Okay. Or I suppose technically not abroad. You could be stateside, but not able to be home. So all you guys too. Okay. So this is from the SSA, Office of Inspector General. As you know, this particular thing I'm about to read, so I thought I'd share it with you, doesn't look like it's about a specific case, so that's not what we usually see here, but it is about the issue that had been going on. I know I reported on this before, that they were changing how you can change your direct deposit for your Social Security benefits or your SSI benefits, and why they were limiting that being done by phone call to the SSA. So let's get into it. The title is SSA beneficiaries did not always authorize direct deposit changes by telephone, leading to direct deposit diversions. And that's exactly what we knew was happening, right? So anyway, they go on to say, and this came out early September, around the 9th, the SSA national number allows the American public to access information and services by making a telephone call. Prior to April of this year, an SSA staff could change a Social Security beneficiary's direct deposit information over the phone after asking the caller to confirm certain PII, personally identifying information that is contained in the SSA's records, so that they would know or think they knew who they were talking to make sure it was the beneficiary making this change, or a caller was otherwise authorized to make the change, such as maybe a representative payee, maybe an appointed representative, what have you. All right, so apparently from October through December of 2023, the prior year, or I should say 2 years ago, the OIG had identified 3,109 beneficiaries who had direct deposit changes initiated by the SSA's 1-800 number by the staff there, and reported to SSA that they had not received their benefit payment. Over 3,100 people in a 3-month period. Wow, that's a lot of people. Over 3,000 identified in a 3-month period. Looks like the last quarter of 2023. The SSA OIG determined that these beneficiaries did not always authorize direct deposit changes initiated by the 800 number staff. It was estimated that approximately 1,197 of those 3,109, so about 38.5% of the beneficiaries, had benefit payments misdirected because of unauthorized direct deposit changes to the amount of $2.2 million. As of April of 2025, so now we're scooching ahead again, the OIG estimated SSA had not recovered approximately 2 million of the estimated 2.2 million in misdirected benefit payments. Clawing that money back is, I'm going to guess, extremely difficult. Now, granted, that was only in April of 2025 when they curbed that whole ability to call the 800 number and change your direct deposit, because there's too many avenues for someone who isn't supposed to be changing it to have your PII, personally identifying information, and redirect your direct deposit elsewhere. The OIJ also could not determine whether the 800 number staff followed policy regarding the verification of callers' identities. Remember, they're talking about that 3-month period back in 2023. I guess that was like the study period. Recorded calls were no longer available, and the SSA did not maintain evidence as to whether employees followed policy in its systems. Wow. At that time, SSA only kept telephone recordings for 60 days. Wow. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Keeping telephone recordings for 60 days. Appeals and all these things even go on for years. So I don't know if that's appropriate at all. Actually, I'm going to say it's not. As a person who deals with evidence and the need for evidence years after an event, that's crazy. Okay, the OIG then decided to review sample cases of beneficiaries who had direct deposit changes initiated by the 800 number staff in October 2024, because this sample allowed for the review of the recorded telephone calls, which are now being maintained for a 6-month period. Okay, so I guess they had access to those. The OIG estimated SSA did not properly verify the identities of 25,638 callers who contacted the agency before changing those beneficiaries' direct deposit information. Okay, so 25,000 plus people, their identity was not properly checked before making the change to their direct deposit. Now, obviously, not all 25,000 were fraudulent, but clearly some were, because these fraudulent calls are being made on a consistent and ongoing basis by all the fraudsters out there. Okay, and we know that in a 3-month period, there was at least 3,100 in a 3-month period, right? Of the actual fraudster style, which, wow. This lack of verifying identities increases the risk of unauthorized direct deposit changes. You think? Yeah, I think so. Although the SSA had announced plans to revise its policy, the OIG issued an early alert memorandum to the SSA in March of 2025. Remember, 2025 is kind of when all these major changes are taking place to stop this kind of stuff. Finally, changes being made. We all talked about it, for years, and nothing was being done. It was almost like uncanny how nothing was being done. Just saying. And that memorandum in March of 2025 from the OIG was to inform the agency that the 800 number staff did not always follow the policy to verify a caller's identity before making a direct deposit change. The following month, in April of 2025, the SSA revises policy for direct deposit changes over the telephone. You guys might remember that. I reported on it, that you no longer could generally call to make those changes. And this is why. So when people go, oh my God, blah, well, you know what? You'll be glad when you're not one of the victims. Because getting that money back, you might not. You might be without thousands of dollars because someone took your benefits for 3 months. So chew on that. And if you can afford that, God bless you. But a lot of people can't. Okay. The OIG believes this new policy will help reduce the risk of the SSA's 800 number employees inappropriately verifying the identities of callers before making direct deposit changes, because it limits how changes can be made over the telephone. It sure does. In addition, the new policy requires stronger identity proofing and authentication for direct deposit transactions. And they give a link for the full report. So I guess I'm not actually looking at the full report. I'm looking at a lovely little synopsis. Yeah, okay. This is where the nitty-gritty and the table of contents and the whole thing that I just summed up for you is all laid out. Wow, so that was pretty interesting. I'm really glad they're getting on top of this. I mean, they've got to, for the future of Social Security programs, generally speaking. I know people whine when things get inconvenient and I have to go online and do things, or I have to call. And incidentally, I called an SSA office today. It was, which one was it? Is it Durham, North Carolina? Boom, got right through. It was fabulous. If I waited 30 seconds, I will be shocked. I didn't have an extension. I just got whoever I got. That person did look up what I needed to know. We found out why, and this was the reason why we called, that my person had been found medically disabled, and they were just going to be working on the non-medical 15 to 30 days. And now it's been 2 months, and she still hasn't been contacted or gotten her monies or anything like that. So I called, and it turns out they wanted to inquire about her ability to manage her own funds. Does she need a representative payee? And supposedly they called her numerous times. Now, here's the thing. I know they did not. She was the most diligent person with reporting things to me. She was a stellar client in that respect. And it kind of begs the question, let's say she wasn't, and let's say they did call her numerous times. They didn't send a letter. They didn't contact the attorney of record who worked the whole case for the last 2 years. So I strongly believe the staffer who's put a note in there that said she's been reaching out lied through her teeth, and that's not acceptable. The person that I spoke to was not the person in charge of the case. She could just look up and tell me what she saw. She said, yeah, they're waiting for her to reach back out to them to see if she's competent to handle her funds because she might need a representative pay. So I was like, interesting. But anyway, at least now my person knows what she has to do. She does have to reach out. I know she doesn't want to go there, but I think we've talked about this before. Sometimes we go there. They want you to go there, I think, so they can eyeball you and make sure you can coherently just say, no, I'm fine. I could pay my bills. It's not like the person's a spendthrift, or, overspends money. It's all about staying on top of things. But now with auto banking and setting up auto pay, people that are not so good with paying bills should really not have, if that's the only thing, it should not be a reason they can't be their own real pay. So just saying. All right. I digress. So that was a little extra lengthy tack on into the Friday Fraud Law Review. I hope you all have a great weekend. I hope you had a great week. Hope you have a wonderful Friday. And to all our deployed folks out there, God bless you. And thank you so much for all you do. Take care now.